Good evening, folks. We're going to talk about something that is very interesting, but absolutely, well, different, actually. First off, Marjorie Taylor Greene made a statement say, we need to divorce red states from blue states. And so they can defend for themselves, blue states can fend for themselves, and red states can fend for themselves, and they can worship all the wokeness and everything else, just like how red states can celebrate freedom, kind of like how, like back in the good old days when slavery was a thing, and kind of like how the Civil War was. While Mr. Keith Olbermann, on the other hand, echoed very similar, the same thing, but she echoed what he did, but in a different format. But yet, the left is silent on what he said. Nobody said a damn thing. But yet, it's okay if the left says it. But yet, it's not okay if we say it. The Democrats want a divorce from there. The Democrats want all that. All in honesty, I don't mind it. Democrats can have their own states, we can have our own states. That's literally how I feel. It's called secession. South Carolina was the first state to secede from the Union during the Civil War era. I can't remember what state was next. I think Mississippi, then Tennessee, then Florida. I can't remember what after that. Then Georgia. But literally, all the slave-owned states seceded from the Union except for Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, and what was the other state? I think Delaware, I'm not really sure. I can't remember the fourth state. I can't remember the other state, but there are 4 states that didn't secede from the Union but supported slavery. But we're kind of in that boat right now. West Virginia, that's right, West Virginia. That was a part of Virginia, but it broke from Virginia. It had its own, still supported slavery, but it broke from Virginia. But that's literally what this has come down to. It's come to the point where we're really ended in absolutely nothing. But now, let's look at another picture of this. We've literally come to the point of no return when it comes to loving one another. Whatever happened to the point where we're supposed to be uplifting. We're supposed to care for one another. Instead, that has turned into like a cliche point. Nothing. It turns out it should be like nothing now. Instead, if you're a Democrat, you hate Republicans. Or if you're a Republican, you hate Democrats. That's really what the original Civil War was technically almost all about. It was mostly state rights to own slaves and stuff of that nature. But we've since moved on from that. But now we just hate one another because we have a different political opinion. While the Democrats, on the one hand, like Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying, have Black Lives Matter, have all the wokeness, the gays, and all the other things be supportive on one side, and push the communism and everything else on one side. I don't have an issue with gays. I have relatives who are gay. I have no issue with them. Gays are okay. I have no issue with gays at all. The only issue I have with gays is when they start pushing it on me. When you start pushing certain things on me is when I have an issue with it. That's the time I start having issues with it. Now, as of the other parts of it, I mean, it looks like California will never change. California will never change. Neither will Oregon or Washington. The state of Washington. Same with Washington, D.C. I mean, that's been strongly held Democrat forever. Same with the North, every state Northeast. It's all been held strongly Democrat forever. I don't know when Ohio's kind of switched back and forth. Now, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, they just switched over not too long ago. Then they switched right back just this year. Minnesota, on the other hand, no, doesn't look like they'll switch anytime soon. Now, all the other states have been that way. South Carolina has been that way for a very long time, along with Texas. Before I was ever born. 1968 was the last time Minnesota was ever Republican. And now, if we're ever going to win those states, you got to go to those states and campaign if you're a Republican. You got to campaign in those blue states. Like Minnesota, Oregon, Washington, California. You got to campaign in those states. You got to make those people change their mind and realize, hey, this is how it works out. You got to change your state. If you want to succeed in your state, you got to change the state. You got to vote your idiot. You got to vote the idiot out that created this issue. That's how you do that. I mean, this is how you succeed in winning games against your opponent. Just like Donald Trump. I mean, look what Donald Trump's doing right now. He already announced he threw his candidacy in as president. He will most likely win Ohio in the primaries. He's going to head over to Ohio, to East Palestine, whatever happened over there, which was a disaster. While Joe Biden is on a trip over in Ukraine. And he even denied to even go over there, which that would have helped his candidacy for president. He most likely probably would have, I don't know if he would have won Ohio, but he probably would have gotten more attention voters and everything. But heck, him going to Ohio, Donald Trump going to Ohio and seeing all these disaster sites, that's helping his campaign because that shows he's actually looking out for the American people. While you got a buffoon who's going all the way to Ukraine. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump myself, but you got a man I'm totally not a fan of, Joe Biden, who's just going all the way out to Ukraine, who does absolutely nothing. All he's doing is warmongering. While you have our adversaries of Russia and China eating breakfast together. It's almost like they're playing a war together. Getting ready to start like China's getting ready to throw their hat into the ring to fight with Russia. I'm literally. That's what this looks like. I mean, I don't know what day he plans on being over here, but I can tell you right now, East Palestine will be a different looking place, and I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a totally different ball game when he's over here, because he's got his ways of making things happen. Now, back to the other picture of this. Keith Olbermann, just like I said with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who just wanted it to be like states having their own ways, being the 10th Amendment, where the states only your state makes that decision. Well, this is what I'm also going to refer to here. Keith Olbermann wants an economic civil war. He wanted states to divorce as well. Where's the outcry by the Democrats? Oh, that's right. The Democrats don't want to see a damn thing because he's a Democrat. But you know what? I actually gotta agree with them on one part. Your wish is my command. Because all the red states, like almost like Florida, they have a lot of stuff in that state. But Pennsylvania is not necessarily a complete blue state. Same with... Now, Illinois, it's a very heavy blue state. Now, if you look at, like, Montana, mostly the Midwest, Nebraska, very heavy corn. Same with Iowa. Corn. You're looking at a lot of soybeans in those states. Arizona, I wouldn't say it's a complete blue state either. Now, if you want to look at fully blue states that have always been blue, literally all the time, you're going to have to look at like Oregon, Washington, and California, Illinois, and the upper Northwest. All those states have been blue forever. And they probably won't ever change. Those are the states you want to really look at that will definitely be like a divorce if this ever actually did happen. Now, Idaho, on the other hand, is definitely a new thing. Idaho has its own separation right now. And as of these other things that Idaho's been there too, they have their own things, and pretty much, well, what Keith Olbermann doesn't understand is literally the blue states, he wants the red states to succeed. He wants the red states to secede from the blue states. Obviously, have our own nations, kind of like how Marjorie Taylor Greene stated. But they want the red states to suffocate into submission to the blue states. So the blue states will overpower the red states. Well, guess what? You didn't realize that mostly all the red states can actually supply themselves, while hardly all the red states are mostly not really that rural, actually. They'd be asking for assistance from the red states. Well, sorry. You just threw it out. So I guess this question is for this episode is, where's the Civil War going to happen? Or will there be a Civil War? The Keith Olbermann and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I gotta say, I like Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I'm kind of on the edge of saying we should have a divorce from one another, from red states and blue states. And I can't really say, and same what goes with Georgia. Georgia, I think this is maybe like a separate one, maybe once and once time only. Now, I'm kind of same with Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, who knows? This is kind of like a questionable thing. It's a very fine line, I gotta say. Twin states, you gotta go to them and campaign in them. Same goes with Virginia. I mean, Virginia was Republican for a while, then it went back to Democrat, and it hasn't really been Democrat forever, so you can easily switch it back to Republican if you had the power. I mean, it's right there, right on the line right now. I mean, if you have just the right votes, you can easily flip it red. You just need to get the right votes. That's literally just what the Republicans need to do with Virginia and other slightly blue-leaning states. But Virginia, but if you really wanted to talk about it, Virginia and all the other states up that way, the red states could easily survive this. Not the blue. The blue has more structure, more power, more everything right now. Well, with that being said, hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications. With that being said, I'm out of here. Peace.